Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the sixth topic in the webinar series of guidance document for health system response for persons with disabilities and functional impairment during pandemic COVID-19 of the ICMR. Today, we are discussing the topic use of assistive technology, their associated risk and precautions. As I always open the note, we should all bear in mind Amartya Sen's observation. Disabled people are not only the most deprived human beings in the developing world, they also are the most neglected. So to start with, though majority of us are in the field of rehabilitation only, still uh, to start with, we'll just start with the simple definition of an assistive technology device. An assistive devices are aids and appliances that enable PWDs to perform specific functions in terms of mobility, communication, and their daily activities, resulting in improved quality of life. Assistive devices range from simple magnifying glasses, spectacles, crutches, commodes, splints, orthotics, artificial limbs, hearing devices, wheelchairs, to sophisticated devices like robotic arms and ventilators. We all know it's a wide spectrum of assistive technology device. As of now, since this is an era of technological advancements, we have a lot of high-tech assistive devices, and we are familiar with the cochlear implants. That is the first artificial sensory organ. In one way we can tell that that's even a artificial sensory organ which is being even implemented through government schemes and projects even. So a lot of assistive devices are there, and the care of these assistive devices in this current pandemic scenario is something of utmost importance for persons with disabilities and their caregivers. World Health Organization published the Priority Assistive Products List (APL) in 2016, so as to complete the health continuum of prevention, promotion, curation, therapeutics, both clinical and surgical, rehabilitation, and palliation. So it encompasses the entire spectrum, starting from prevention to palliation. And the APL includes 50 priority assistive products, and that is available in the website. If you're further interested, you can just search the APL and you will get the further details regarding this. And as in previous sessions, you just have to fill in the feedback form, so that at the end of the webinar series, we'll be able to give you the e-participation certificate. So you will be provided with the feedback form in the chat box, which you can just access and fill in the form and do it within the session itself, so that by the end of the session, your forms are submitted. So that is regarding the coming back. That is regarding the priority assistive products list. Assistive device users and risk of infection in the current corona pandemic scenario. Users of assistive technology are at a higher risk of infection as they are in touch with an external device majority of the time. Unlike the other so-called normal population, these people are in touch with an external device which acts as an extension of their body itself. They are in touch with that device, an external device. So they need to be very, very careful. The virus that can cause COVID-19 is known to survive on the surfaces of objects from a few hours to even few days. How long does the virus survive on surface? Scientific documents say that it can survive up to 72 hours on plastic and stainless steel. So we know that majority of the assistive technology devices belong to this group. There will be plastic component in that, and there will also be steel related or other alloy components in that. So the probability for a virus to survive in such a surface is up to 3 days even. So that implies the significance of how important it is to keep the assistive devices clean, and in a copper it is 4 hours and 24 hours or less in cardboard. So this we have to keep in mind while dealing with the assistive technology device. And another thing, this session, this may get cut in another 1 minute. You just need to click the rejoin button so that we can again continue with the session. The time is running out for this specific session, but you just need to click rejoin. So coming back, the virus that can cause COVID-19, as I said, can survive up to 3 days in your device if it has got plastic or steel components. So should be very careful. As PWDs are continuously in touch with the assistive device, they are in a higher risk of transmitting the virus to the body and vice versa. We all know, because the possibility naturally increases. Certain devices like hearing aids, ventilators, spectacles, etc., are at closer proximity to the entry points of the body, like the eyes, mouth, and nose, which increases the risk. Even with if persons who are using their spectacles, we know we are constantly taking out and again wearing it. So the proximity is so even for we people who are using spectacles, we know that it is in close proximity with our eyes, which is a major entry point for this virus. So especially people who are using devices like hearing aid, spectacles, ventilators, etc., because of their close proximity to the entry points, they should understand that they are in a higher risk for the contamination. Larger mobility devices like wheelchair, walkers, canes, and artificial lower limbs, which have continuous direct contact with the ground, could get exposed to infection more easily as compared to others. This is because, as I explained in the previous session, these viruses are transmitted via mode of droplets. So when a person who is infected with the virus, when he speaks or laughs or coughs or sneezes, these viral droplets tend to trickle down into the surface in just in front of them. And since it's a droplet type of spread and not an airborne type of spread, these droplets have maximum probability to get lodged. Someone's mic is on. Could you kindly mute it? Thank you. So there is high probability for the droplets to just trickle down onto the surface just in front of them, that too within a 3 feet circumference. So that is the reason why that distance of 3 feet is also made mandatory for social distancing mode. Then coming to the other aspects, wheelchair users also have an additional risk of infection due to their posture during the conversations. Because wheelchair users tend to sit lower than most people that are standing, they have to raise their heads almost 45-degree upwards while in conversation. This is a point which we usually tend just to ignore. But just consider a person sitting in the wheelchair. For him to have an eye contact with a person who is standing, he will have to raise his chin up almost to a 45-degree angle. So this poses a higher chance of exposure to droplets or spits, making them more vulnerable to the infection. This is important because the droplets which is emanating from a person who has a probability of infection or who is infected, because of the posture of a wheelchair person who is sitting with his head tilted upwards, it directly gets lodged to the person's eyes, ears, etc. So a person on a wheelchair has to be furthermore vigilant and cautious regarding his protective measures anytime he is interacting with any person. Coming to the physical or social distancing, as we all know, definitely persons with disabilities should maintain space from people outside the home, maintain a minimum of 6 feet distance from the people around to reduce their vulnerability to infection, avoid crowded places or mass gatherings, avoid gathering in groups. Caregivers are exceptional group who work in close proximity as far as a person with disability is concerned. During these occasions, it is advised, if possible, to wear an N95 or a three-layered mask to prevent transmission of the virus. Yesterday, we had discussed in detail regarding which all people are expected to use which type of mask, whether it's a fabric mask or a three-layer mask or an N95 mask. So usually an N95 mask is indicated for persons who are known to have this disease or who are in close proximity, like health first line healthcare workers working in a hospital, in a corona care center and all. Definitely they have to wear an N95 mask. But when there is a higher risk of this sort of possibility of spread of infection, then definitely they need to wear this N95 mask, or otherwise a three-layered mask. If there is a chance of risk of contamination is there, it is better to use a three-layer mask. On all other instances, a fabric mask is to be used all the time. Cleaning hands and face. Wash hands with soap for 20 seconds and or use a greater than 60% alcohol-based hand sanitizer whenever after returning home from any location where other people have been. That also the mechanism, majority of you know that because the soap has got a lipophilic as well as a hydrophilic component, and the lipophilic components get attached to the lipid outer layer of the virus, and just like a balloon being pricked with a needle, the virus just burst out, leaving the virus inactive. So that is the mode of action of this soap as well as that of alcohol. So this is a very safe method. So definitely, whenever you people, whoever, especially persons with disabilities, goes out interact with someone, make it a habit that you regularly and constantly clean your hands and face, at least for a duration of 20 seconds when you are doing the process. An assistive device user, like manual wheelchair user, are at a higher risk as COVID-19 can survive on the surface of the wheelchair or assistive technology device, which they come in frequent contact with. Example, hand rims of the wheelchair. As I said, in the plastic as well as steel components, there is a possibility of up to 3 days for the virus to survive. So we have to be careful in dealing the assistive equipments, and we have to clean it thoroughly and properly in very periodic intervals. Any virus that might be on the hands could also get transferred to hand rims as the wheelchair is pushed. So this contact for a wheelchair user, especially, the contact with the wheelchair rim, the wheel rim is so high. So for his any sort of mobility, he has to push on the wheel rim. So each and every time he is contacting the wheel rim, that exposes him to a higher risk of contamination. Hence, wear gloves while using the assistive device to prevent cross contamination. It can happen on either ways. Either a person using wheelchair can get contaminated through his wheelchair rim, or vice versa. A person who is already infected, he can contaminate the wheel rim, and some other person touching it, probably a caregiver or a first degree family member in the same vicinity, he stands, the family member or the caregiver stands a higher chance for containment of the disease. Then coming to the specific precautions, precaution during catheterization. We know that persons with spinal cord injury or some sort of paraplegia, quadriplegia, or some residual symptoms of the stroke, etc., they may frequently self-catheterize to remove urine from the bladder. Naturally, quadriplegics cannot do that. Paraplegics or other hemiplegics like people, majority of them who are bed-bound, may be doing a self-catheterization to remove urine from the bladder, or other neurological conditions where the bladder is not functioning properly, they'll have to do catheterization. So while doing a catheterization, maintain a very clean environment during this procedure. Wash hands before and after catheterization, it's mandatory. Use gloves during self-catheterization. None of the steps can be skipped because these are all very important as far as the precautionary procedures are involved. Caregivers, if doing the above set procedure for the person with disability, same safety precaution are to be ensured. While using your gloves, the inside of the glove may likely become infected. Hence, clean the hands before putting the gloves on. You may think that anyway I'm putting a gloves on, so it will be sterile, so there is no need for me to wash my hands. No, because even if you are wearing a glove adhering to the standard procedures of wearing a glove, even then you stand a chance to contaminate the inside or the fingertip areas of the gloves at times. So it's mandatory that you wash your hands before wearing a glove. Even if you think that since a glove is sterile, there is no problem, that's not the way. You have to wash your hands. Wash face frequently. Wheelchair users, due to their lower seated position, the exposure is higher while conversing with others. So wash the face every time after having personal conversations. So, or when you are in the public areas. As I said, this is important because person sitting in a wheelchair, because of his sitting posture, for an eye contact, he'll have to tilt his head up to around 45 degrees, which exposes his face directly for any droplets to trickle down directly onto his face. Then cleaning the assistive devices. So these were the precautionary measures which we discussed till now. Then coming to the specific cleaning of each and every assistive device. These are the basic guidelines which ICMR has laid down. For orthotic splints and prosthetic devices, use a mild soap and a soft damp cloth to clean the entire surface of the device. Then allow the device to air dry. So here a mild soap is recommended for any orthotic and splints and other prosthetic devices. Special seats and standing frames. Use a mild soap and a soft damp cloth to clean the entire surface of the special seats and standing frames. Again, mild soap is being proposed here for cleaning of any special seats or standing frames for those with locomotor disability. But the thing is that you should be aware that it need to be cleaned. Just like you are keeping yourself clean and tidy, you are using all the precautionary measures. Just consider this as Surya Prakash Singh has raised her hand. Whatever queries or discussion points which you feel like, you can just jot it down in the comment box so that at the end of the session we will discuss that. Okay, so coming back, what should be borne in mind is that uh, any assistive technology device for that matter, you should consider that as an extension of your body itself. How you take care of your personal hygiene in this COVID pandemic scenario, the same attention has to be bestowed upon to the equipments which you are using as assistive technology devices. Coming to hearing aids, clean the hearing aid every day, preferably at night. Obtain a hearing aid desiccant or dry aid kit from the audiologist. This is important. A good container in which you can keep your hearing aid is far better than just leaving it exposed on the surface of some table, which tend to which increases the risk of contamination furthermore. So always get a hearing aid desiccant or a dry aid kit or some sort of a good quality container to keep your hearing aid. And especially such desiccants have silica crystals that will absorb moisture, which will enable to keep the hearing aid dry all the time. It is best to use this method each night after removing the hearing aid from the ear. So prior to you going to your sleep, remove it, remove the hearing aid, clean it properly, and keep it in a hearing aid desiccant with silica crystals so that it is kept moisture free and dry all the time. Coming to eyeglasses and magnifying glasses. Wash hands with warm water and mild hand soap to avoid transferring dirt and other grime to an eyeglasses while cleaning them. So that's important. Prior to cleaning your eyeglass, you first clean your hand. Then only you touch your eyeglass for cleaning. And ICMR says that you can rinse eyeglasses with tap water. Use the right cleaner and the right cloth. Spray the front and back of the lenses. Gently wipe from one side to the other using a circular motion. Clean the nose pad. So it is not just pouring water, but the lens portion has to be cleaned in circular motion. Then the nose pad has to be cleaned. The hinges has to be cleaned. The frame arms should be cleaned. And you can spray more water if required, and it should be cleaned thoroughly. Coming to other communication devices, generally these devices are best cleaned using a microfiber cloth for the display screen or keyboard. This is important even when you are cleaning the lens of your spectacles, and when you are cleaning the display surface of your communication devices, be it a tab or mobile, whatever it be. You always ensure that you use a good quality cloth so that there are no scratches which you leave behind as a part of the process of cleaning. So if possible, use some microfiber cloth which gives a very neat, clean and tidy cleaning without any scratches. So that is also important. These are very small tips, but if you are adhering to this, this will help you in combating the issue furthermore effectively. Do not use any solvents, especially on the display. Keep hairspray, heat, and moisture away from the device because they can damage the device. A simple tip, but very effective. Then coming to the specific precautionary measures for wheelchairs. Wipe down the surface with a damp cloth. So even before cleaning with disinfectants or something, first you have to wipe down the entire surface with a damp cloth. Then use a mild detergent or a stronger cleaner for stains and sticky spots. So if there are stains and sticky spots, to those areas you apply mild detergent. Use a sharp tool or pick and carefully clean the wheel axle or the coaster bearing of any accumulation of hair, strings, or other items that can interfere with the rotation of the wheels. This is important. Many a time you just tend to ignore that, and these hairs and other strings get tangled in the wheel axle or the coaster bearing, and you will find it difficult to negotiate your wheelchair freely. So whenever you find some sort of an entangled hair or some other strings, immediately remove it. Use an antibacterial solution to clean high touch surfaces such as wheels, brakes, and push rims of a manual wheelchair thoroughly throughout the day. So throughout the day, whenever you suspect an exposure to a possible contaminant, immediately clean the surfaces. That is important. The surface area is more, and it may take some time, but make sure that you are cleaning it every time you suspect an exposure. For a power wheelchair, use an antibacterial solution to clean the joystick and any other controls, armrest, tray, or any parts of the hands touch. So even if it is a power wheelchair, whichever area your hands are in contact with, just like the joystick or any other controls, try to disinfect it at periodic intervals or whenever you suspect a contamination. Also, wheelchair users must keep at least 6 feet from others when possible. So, since you are in the wheelchair, the negotiation may be a bit difficult. So, you may tend to be in the position where you are, even if someone is coming close to you or he is invading that 6 feet distance of yours. Either you should very strictly but politely tell that please keep the distance, or immediately you move your wheelchair in such a manner that you ensure a 6 feet distance with the other person. As I said, because this is furthermore important because you are in a disadvantageous positions because you are sitting, and there is a possibility for whatever droplets is coming out to be directly dislodged into your face. Okay, wash your face in addition to your hands after being in public and after having in-person conversations. This is an additional tip for persons, especially who are using wheelchair, because we usually just advocate for washing hands for the other people, but who are using wheelchair, each and every time when you are going out, whenever you are washing your hands, wash your face also with the same precaution using a soap and water solution. Use an antibacterial solution to clean high-touch surfaces such as wheels, brakes, and push rims of manual, which has already been discussed. For power wheelchair, that has also been discussed. For other assistive devices like walkers or canes, be sure to regularly wipe those with antibacterial products. So just like any other device, even if it is a walker or cane, uh, you should not just ignore that, but every day, as I said, just consider any assistive technology device of yours as an extension of your own body. Then coming to the airbed and waterbeds. Using a damp cloth with mild soap to clean the mattresses, frame, and wiring, you can clean an airbed or a waterbed. And if this is an electronically operated airbed or waterbed, then make it a point that you unplug bed when cleaning the wiring. Otherwise, you stand a chance for other mishaps, some electric shock or such sort of issues, short circuits. A lot of issues can happen. So ensure that you unplug a bed if it is an electronically operated one. For other mattresses, methods for cleaning the mattresses and mattresses covers depend on the construction of the materials used. Some may be washable, some cannot be washed. So usually you have to check with the manufacturer's manual for recommended cleaning methods, as this will affect the performance and warranty of the mattress, especially if you are using an airbed or waterbed or specific mattress to alleviate your disability condition. Such devices will have specific user manual instructions. You have to adhere to that. Otherwise, for quadriplegics or paraplegics or other persons with neurological deficits who are in the bed for a who are bound to be in the bed, then they make it a point that they clean their bed sheets and pillow covers periodically. They change their bed sheets periodically, wash it off thoroughly, wash thoroughly the bed sheet and change it if possible every day or very frequently. Then coming to the mealtime utensils or the adaptive mealtime utensils being used by certain group of persons with disabilities, like say for example, children with autism spectrum disability disorders, who are not able to have a proper, they are not able to use spoon properly, or their feeding is not proper, or some children with other neurodevelopmental disorders who have that they're having the grasp issues. In such a lot of other situations like post stroke conditions, some sort of spinal cord partial injuries, a lot of conditions necessitates a person or a child with disability to use some sort of adaptive mealtime utensils. It may be spoons, plates, cups, etc. So in that instance, do wash and clean them also. Plates, cups and utensils can be cleaned using warm water and appropriate dish detergent. Equipment can also be sanitized in dishwasher and should be cleaned after each use. So usual dish detergent itself is being said by ICMR for cleaning all these utensils also. Then coming to the toilet chairs and portable commodes. Most toilet chairs are constructed from durable plastic, and we know in plastic surfaces up to the virus can survive up to 3 days. So these durable plastic surfaces are plastic materials are intended to withstand water, heat, and moisture. So for daily use, the toilet chair. So those people who are using toilet chairs, they should the toilet chair should be completely dried using a towel or cloth after each use. That is important. It's not a single day. Whenever that person is using that toilet chair for each and every use, he or she has to clean it. He has to dry it using a towel or cloth after each use, and being careful to dry the underneath of the chair. Even drying the underneath of the chair is important, because definitely it will be soiled with water. Unless and until you intentionally wipe out and clean the under surface of the chair, it will not be dry. It will tend, the equipment will tend to rust, and growth of fungal and other bacterial growth will also increase. So it has got all such risk associated. So make it a point that whenever a person with disability is using a toilet chair, he or she is cleaning it thoroughly after each use. If the chair is used by only one person, it is safe to thoroughly clean the chair once weekly using a cleanser that will prevent mold and mildew. So here also it is regarding the cleansing and disinfecting, which is being said that it can be done weekly. But whenever you are using, you have to, before and after use, mop it till it is dry. And a solution of ammonia and water will also work. So in the ICMR recommendations, they are telling that 1/3 ammonia to 2/3 of warm water is sufficient to clean such devices weekly, once in a week. And continuing with the toilet chairs and portable commodes, all solutions should be properly labeled and safely stored. Meanwhile, I'm just reminding you once again regarding the feedback form. So whoever want to get an e-participation certificate at the end of the series, you have to fill in that form and submit it in the chat box so that we can easily assimilate that. So returning to our topic, all solutions should be properly labeled and safely stored. It should be kept away from the arm reach of the children. Use a scrub brush to get between small spaces and hard to reach areas. These are all common sense things, even otherwise we are resorting to. But these are points. These points still are being highlighted by ICMR so that you don't leave off any point at all, because every single point is important in this regard. So if it is an inaccessible area, you either use a brush or some other thing to access to that area, and you get between small spaces and how to reach areas and clean it. Always thoroughly rinse the chair with warm water after cleaning to avoid skin irritation and completely dry the chair to prevent mold, bacteria, and fungus. Again, it's important. You should rinse after thoroughly rinsing the chair with warm water. After thoroughly rinsing the chair with warm water after cleaning to avoid skin, because if other disinfectants are retaining there, there is a chance for skin infection. So that has to be borne in mind. Just hold for a minute. Hello. Uh, Sorry for the inconvenience caused. So, and if the chair is shared by more than one person, the chair must be cleaned after each use. This is also important because for a person with disability who is living in his own house with adequate facilities and he can use that chair exclusively for his own, then it is okay that he clean it once, sanitize it once a week and clean it every time. But if a person with disability is sharing the same chair with multiple persons with disabilities, say in some care centers or some disability institutions like that, then it should be made mandatory that each person clean that equipment every time that person is using, and the caregiver or the warden or the matron of such institution should particularly insist that this is being done. He or she should see to it that this is being cleaned by each and every person after being used each and every time. Then coming to the rollator walkers, walker with wheels and a seat walker or canes. Wipe down the walker with an antibacterial cleanser or cleaning with benzalkonium chloride based disinfecting products or wipe. So these benzalkonium based disinfectants are very effective because this benzalkonium chloride is a quaternary ammonium compound, and it is the most commonly used antimicrobial preservative. And the benzalkonium chloride are extensively used biocides, especially efficacious against enveloped microorganisms. And we know that this coronavirus is also an enveloped microorganism. So, as I said earlier, just like a balloon with a pinprick, similarly, the use of this disinfectants disinfects the or just simply kills the virus. So, around 99.999% microbe killing rate is being claimed by this product. So you can use that. Any standard disinfectant lotion is also having this benzalkonium chloride. So you can use that. Then allow the worker to completely dry after cleaning. If the worker gets wet, be sure to dry it off completely with a towel to reduce the incidence of rust that I have mentioned earlier as well. To prevent the rust formation, you have to clean it to dry after cleaning every time. The worker should be thoroughly cleaned weekly and more often if the worker is soiled or taken to the community. So whenever there is a chance for increased risk of contamination, immediately clean the worker irrespective of where you are. Then coming to nebulizers and devices for inhaled medications. So a minority of the persons with disabilities may also be in need of these assistive devices like nebulizers or other inhalation medication devices. So in such scenario, what are the things to be taken care of? Please follow the manufacturer's instruction for cleaning the nebulizer equipment. There are two ways to disinfect and sterilize the nebulizer. One is boiling the nebulizer in the preferred method if the nebulizer can be boiled. So many of the components of the nebulizer, it is safe to boil, but some components it is not safe to boil because it may get tampered. So those components or the parts which can be boiled can be boiled. So boiling water method, wash your hands. So even before doing that, the first mandatory thing is always wash your hands. Then take the nebulizer apart. Put all the parts of the jet except the mask, tubing, and interrupter in boiling water for 10 minutes. As I said, these are the parts which will get tampered by boiling because these are simple plastic parts which can get simply spoiled or destroyed off by boiling. So, keeping aside these parts, the rest of the parts you can boil for 10 minutes. After boiling the nebulizer, shake off any excess water. So, you just can shake off the excess water, then reattach the nebulizer pieces and tubings to the air compressor because the nebulizer has got an air compressor. So you reattach the tubings and other parts and turn on the compressor to dry the nebulizer quickly. So by doing that, by turning on the compressor, you can immediately dry the nebulizer. So just after cleaning using the boiling technique, you have to dry it completely by turning on the compressor. Make sure the nebulizer is completely dry before storing the nebulizer, because otherwise again the chances for bacteria or fungus to grow and all are high, and even those portions, maybe a screw or something, may get rusted. So we have to be careful regarding that. Vinegar and water method. Wash hands, soak all parts of the nebulizer except mask, tubing, and interrupter for 1 hour in a solution of 1 part distilled white vinegar and 3 parts of hot water. So this is being recommended in the guidance document of ICMR. But whereas for other disinfectant purposes, this use of vinegar or other homemade products are not recommended. So please bear in mind. Only because this has been told here, that doesn't imply that you can use this solution for any disinfection purpose for any equipment. This is just mentioned for this device in this specific manner. The solution should be fresh. Remove the parts from the vinegar solution and rinse them in water. Discard the solution. Shake off any excess water as you did previously even with the other technique. Then reattach the nebulizer piece and tubing and to the air compressor, and turn on the compressor to dry the nebulizer quickly as we discussed previously, and make sure that the nebulizer is completely dry before storing the nebulizer. Coming to ventilators and other respiratory assistive devices, users should consider the following tips. Clean and disinfect medical equipments according to the manufacturer's instructions. This is important because each and every such equipment will have a very detailed manufacturer's instruction to be followed. So just go through that, understand it, study it properly, and whatever are the recommendations, adhere to that and clean and disinfect this medical equipment in a very periodic manner, because we know we are exposed to such a threat of a pandemic. So it has got its own importance. Change filters as suggested by the manufacturer's instructions. Maybe previously we might be a bit lethargic in changing the filters. Maybe we may be thinking that, okay, let this continue for some more time. I'll change after a few weeks or something. But in this given scenario, even that increases your risk manifold. So make it a point that whenever it is being the time duration for the change of such accessories like filters, immediately change those accessories as instructed in the user manual to reduce the risk of contamination. Wash hands before and after working with the ventilator or the person. Then coming to oral and nasal suction devices. These are not very specific equipments widely used by persons with disabilities, but for terminally ill patients and some other persons who are bedridden, and a part of persons with disabilities who are using these things. These are the points which we have to be careful regarding. Cleaning of the suction device. Clean the suction canister daily with a commercial sterilizing solution or a 50% hydrogen peroxide solution. So hydrogen peroxide solution 50% concentration is being recommended for the cleaning of oral and nasal suction devices as well, or any other commercial sterilizing solution like benzalkonium containing solutions. You can use that. Between oral suctioning, consider wiping down with a paper towel or gauze with chlorhexidine solution. So here chlorhexidine solution is being mentioned. That is when you are using a oral or a nasal suction device, in between your suction procedure, to wipe after each procedure, you can use this paper towel or a gauze with chlorhexidine solution. Then suction catheter, clean after suctioning with as we discussed earlier, with 50% hydrogen peroxide solution. Use one catheter a day and then discard. This is the standard thing which can be adhered to. It is not good to reuse the same catheter for days or weeks together. Even if you are having some monetary constraints, just try to interact with people around you or some NGOs, get some help and try to change the catheter every day, oral and nasal suction device. Otherwise, you stand a high chance for contamination. Make sure caregivers wear a mask or eye shield if they are suctioning secretions. This is also important because, as I said in the previous session, which was dealing with the caregiver precaution part, the caregiver should be very careful that you are at a higher risk than other persons. So to ensure your own personal protection is also very important. Then keeping safe during cleaning the assistive devices. So we discussed various modalities, how to clean each and every specific assistive devices. So whichever assistive device you are cleaning, you always wear gloves, masks, protective clothing, and after cleaning the device, clean the flooring surface with disinfectant solution, antibacterial, viral, or liquid sprays. This again is important, because not just the device, not just your personal protection, just clean the floor also. The flooring surface has to be cleaned after cleaning your assistive device, because there also the chance of contamination is there, and someone else is walking through the same floor immediately after, means he stands a good chance for contamination if the other person is infected. So we have CRC Kozhikode has produced four videos specifically regarding the handling of assistive technology device and cleaning procedure of assistive technology. These are demonstration videos done by the P&O consultant of our CRC. So the video demonstration is there. So whoever is interested in seeing that video, you are welcome. This is the a link of the video. It is being demonstrated how to take care of a wheelchair, how to clean it properly, and other P&O equipments, how to do that has been clearly demonstrated in the video. Those who are interested can very well, they can just either browse the website of CRC Kozhikode. You just need to search CRC Kozhikode, or you can just use this link to directly access to the videos.